you will not be happy with yourself. It's the Radio Man's time. It is duty, and duty calls. As duty calls, we must rise to the task. Laws are the reflection, not the source, of a people's character. Just imagine when you have men of poor character making laws. Whatever law they make will not be effective because that law will be tainted by their character. And the implementation of that law will be shortchanged by the character of the men who make and execute it. So if you give the devil the best law, that law will be executed devilishly. Are you there? Laws are the reflection, not the source, of a people's character. A statute against corruption is powerless in a culture that secretly admires the clever thief. Are you there? A statute against corruption is powerless in a culture that secretly admires the clever thief. Many Nigerians admire the clever thief. A declaration of equality rings hollow in the hearts riddled with prejudice. No external enactment can save a nation whose internal virtues, integrity, diligence, compassion, responsibility have grown weak. O people, the mightiest project of nation building is the project of character building. A nation built upon the bedrock of citizen integrity attracts trust and investment. A culture rooted in diligent work ethic generates innovation and abundance. A society bound by mutual respect and compassion creates stability and social cohesion. These are not soft ideas. They are the hard pillars of a strong state. Without them, men of wisdom warn that we have neither strength, stability, nor substantial reality, but only ephemeral dreams. O nation, economic bubbles burst, political alliances shift, but the character of a people endures. How then do we build? You will help me. How then do we build our country? Our country in the interest of the common good. Let me warn. Do not be carried away by the political activities of politicians at the moment. There are existential threats. Think about them as you go to bed, as you wake up, and ask yourself, what can you contribute to make things better? in the jihad of the bandits, in the jihad of criminal elements in the West African sub-region in Nigeria are existential threats. Open your mind. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I am Edmondo Billo. All right, stay tuned. Stay cool. Yes, I have made some point already. We can reflect on those points. So you can call me on WhatsApp. You can call me on WhatsApp to reflect on some of the points I have made already as we dialogue together. So the number to call is 08039 18449. That's the number to call. Let's reflect together. You can call me on 080 on WhatsApp. You can only reach me on WhatsApp. So you call me on WhatsApp and I'll put you on as we discuss the issues of the time. A declaration of equality rings hollow and the hearts riddled with prejudice. No external enactment can save a nation whose internal virtues, integrity, diligence, and compassion have grown weaker. So the mightiest project of nation building is the project of character building. Character building. Character building is the mightiest project of nation building. A nation built upon the bedrock of citizen integrity attracts trust and investment. A culture rooted in diligent work ethic generates innovation and abundance. A society bound by mutual respect and compassion creates stability and social cohesion. What do you think? These are not soft ideas. They are the hard pillars of a strong state. Without them, we have neither strength, stability, nor substantial reality, but only ephemeral dreams. Economic bubbles burst, political alliances shift, but the character of a people endures. Those words are reflections of a people under siege. There is jihad in the Sahel. There are bandits marauding the Nigerian state at the moment. They've become unstoppable. I hope we can check them. Hello. Hello, can you hear me? All right. I missed that call. I want to dialogue with you on a morning like this. So you can call me on WhatsApp on 080-349-18449. That's the number to call. A people under siege. Bandits and jihadis are on rampage. Bandits are on rampage. What can you do to help the land? What can you do to help? Last week I started the subject.
Mr. Edmond Obido, good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning, Adeshola Olumide. How are you?
Wow. Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you. How are you?
Hello, sir.
I can hear you. Go ahead and make your point.
Hello, sir.
I will send you a message. I can hear you.
Hello, sir. Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning.
I'm not hearing you, sir.
Just go
Good
ahead.
morning.
I can hear you. I can
Hello,
hear
sir.
I can hear you.
I'm not hearing
Just go ahead
you,
and
sir.
I can hear you. Make your point.
Hello.
I have sent you a message. I can hear you. Make your point.
Oh, okay. You can hear me. Good morning, sir. Hope you are fine, sir. It's been a while. Like I'm in Akure, but I also be in the battle. So I tuned into your program again. Someone was like, ah, Sunday, you have started again. I will always listen to your program. Last week was an interesting one. Thanks for the awareness. Hope you are fine. How is family? How is everybody? Been a while. Like I called you on WhatsApp couple of like few weeks ago. I think you were unable to speak. I'm happy to hear from you again this morning. Like, thanks for the awareness you created to people this morning that we are fighting battles. Like, I think 3 hours ago, Trump still dropped it on his Twitter page that they eradicated somebody. So, to everybody that is saying Trump is here for our fuel, I think tomorrow Trump will bring in barrels to Nigeria to come and pack for us. But I know that Nigerians and Trump, we are very funny people. Trump cannot come here to help us. We are here to help ourselves. And Mr. Edmond, you are not even saying anything about Justice Crack, Sure, very dark man, everybody. Like, Nigerians will not refuse to muse me to amaze me. Justice Crack is in detention. I saw the videos during the week. I was so emotional. I almost cried. Nigerian youths couldn't do anything. But kudos to those ones that are there with Justice Crack, Randy Peter, Mama P, Shure, and the rest of people fighting for Justice Crack. Because I don't know. I was thinking this morning that Shure's Tinubu's son is outside. The only offense that the guy committed was just pushing it out. I was even thinking that, see the way they are handling Justice Crack. We don't even know the way they are handling the soldiers that send those videos to Justice Crack. But I hope one day, the eyes of our understanding will be open. For nations to rise, the human spirit must first rise, as Mr. Edmond Obilo used to say. And there is one thing that I want to say, that do you know the difference between the northern Nigerians and the southern Nigerians is their education awareness. Just imagine if there is school. The problem that we have, I put it on my Facebook page a few days ago, that the problem we have in this country is our education system. Our education system will shape our environment. Our environment will thereby shape us back. We want to go to US, to UK, to Canada. Those guys make sure their environment is better. They created a suitable environment for them to live in. I will never forget Mr. Edmond's speech that he used to say that if you take all those bandits to Saudi Arabia, to Qatar, they will not want to come back. It's the environment they meet themselves. It's because of their low education level. That is why you can give guns to somebody and tell them that go and shoot, go and kill these people. You cannot tell someone that is educated. Actually, we can see someone educated that kills, but it's very rare before you see somebody that is aware, somebody that is educated, and you see guns. That's the low education in the north is part of the problem of this country. And I will continue to say, I will say, yeah, people will come back to this, my speech, to this, what I used to say, that if we don't make our environment a suitable one, we must first make our environment a suitable one for everyone to live. And there is a definition of architecture. I'm an architecture student. Says once we shape our environment will shape us back. That's a principle we are not taking into consideration in this world, in
Thank
this
you.
part of the world.
Thank you.
We first need to shape our environment, and in return, our environment will shape us.
Thank you.
There is no two sides to it. There is no remedy to it. That's the only thing we have to do as a Nigerian. Without that, there is nothing. Do this, do that. And to me, left to me, is education that will help us. We can see our education shapes
All
Korean,
right,
South Korean,
Adeshola.
America,
Adeshola. All
everything.
right. Thank you.
I was saying this.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, that's Adeshola there, contributing to the discourse. Contributing to the discourse. Kayode Fayemi is a former governor of Ekiti State. During the week, I sat with Kayode Fayemi to reflect on what is going on in Africa, especially in the Sahel. Jihadists are on rampage. For those of us living in the cities, we might not be feeling it yet. But for those living in the periphery, in the villages, They are already feeling it. So soon, you will see them running away from their villages. They will run down to Ibadan. Then you begin to know there is crisis. Soon, communities will be displaced. You know, today, if you go around Ibadan, you see abokis. They are everywhere. They are with okadas. And I get reports from people saying, why are they everywhere? I might not give you the full answer you want, but one reason is that some of them have been displaced from their communities in northern Nigeria. So they've run away from their communities. And these are some of the boys who used to farm in the north. So they've run away from those farming communities. They are now in places like Ibadan, where they are riding okadas. There are many of them. So if we are not careful, our brothers and sisters in places in Okiogun, who will be attacked by bandits, will soon begin to run away, and you will find them in Ibadan. I hope you are ready to accommodate them. Since we've all kept quiet as the bandits come closer, let me warn, do not be consumed by the frenzy of the politics that is unraveling. I want to bring in Kayode Fayemi, a former governor of Ekiti State. Together, we will present to you this edition of State Affairs. So Kayode Fayemi is my analyst on this edition of State Affairs. So, stay tuned as we roll.
State Affairs with Edmond Nobilo is live. Stay tuned.
Let's talk nation building. Let's talk international affairs. And in talking about these subjects, we'll talk about politics at home. My guest is an author. He writes books. And here we will read his book. On page 3 of his book, the book we are about to review, he defines himself. Listen. He says, beyond my early forays into the public sphere as a student leader, my abiding faith in the oneness of our country has been further reinforced by all my subsequent engagements in national affairs as a scholar public intellectual. Take note. As a scholar public intellectual. Mind you, the author of this book is a former governor. Can a Nigerian governor be a scholar and a public intellectual? He continues, he has engaged himself in civil society, so he is a civil society voice. He defines himself as an institution builder, political organizer with an unapologetic pan-Nigerian and pan-African outlook. Hey, my guest is the author of the book, If This Giant Must Rise, Interventions on Leadership and Governance in Africa. My guest is Dr. Kayode Fayemi, a former governor of Ekiti State. Dr. Fayemi, it's good to have you on State Affairs.
Good to finally be here, Edmond. I know this has taken some time, but we finally got around to it.
So welcome to State Affairs.
It's my pleasure.
Who is a public intellectual?
Well, a public intellectual by definition, is someone who assesses what goes on in society, informed by knowledge of society beyond its own limited sphere, and who comes into these with the courage of conviction of what ails society, what is needed to improve the challenges of society. A public intellectual does not have all the answers. It doesn't even always have to be right, but it's guided by well-informed, well-articulated perspectives, and provides evidence to back up such convictions.
Can a politician be a public intellectual?
As a matter of fact, if you are a serious politician, reading is leading. What do I mean by that? If you're going to make a good leader, you must also be a good reader. And you cannot be a public intellectual if you're not a reader of a diverse set of literature, political, literary works, technical information, something you digest and that you can then apply to your own immediate circumstances. So as a matter of fact, if you're going to be a successful politician, you really should be a public intellectual.
As governor, did you find time to read?
Always.
Always.
I never stopped reading as governor. And not just administrative files, not technical materials, but I'm a lover of biographies. I'm a lover of history. I'm a student of history. I'm a student of war and strategy. So you cannot do any of those without the benefit of extensive background information and reflection.
You have a PhD in war studies from King's College.
Yes, I do.
Are we at war in Nigeria at the moment?
Well, in the literature, war is not just defined by actual combat. And even if you want to define it as actual combat, you have low intensity conflict, which is defined in the literature as conflict in which you lose less than 1,000 people. If you analyze what has been happening in our country in the last decade, or if you want to go back till 2009, or if you want to go further back to 1981, Maitatsini, Bulunkutu crisis, or you go back to the Civil War in the 60s, you may want to argue, some may see it as an overreach, that we've never really stopped being at war. The number of people we've lost to Boko Haram insurgency, to banditry and kidnapping in the last decade is certainly over 1,000 when you check ACRID record and records from independent survey of global terrorism. We rank very highly on the list, probably the second or third most terrorized nation in the world. And we see it. It's palpable. People experience it daily in our country. So we are, maybe you say it's low intensity conflict. Maybe you say it's in a particular section of the country. But by academic definition, we are in some form of conflict.
Why is Nigeria at war?
You can adduce it to a whole range of things. Any society where extremes wealth lies astride extreme inequality, that is extreme poverty, you are almost always likely to find conflictual tendencies in such societies. And that is why nations strive to close the inequality gap so that you reduce tension in society in a way that people will not see those who have as the enemies of those who have not. That's a sociological underpinning of conflict. But it does not completely explain conflict. There are also conflicts that happen because of ethnic rivalries, some historical, some contemporary. There are resource conflicts linked to whatever is in the ground where such conflicts are intensified. Say, mineral resources. You can almost find a correlational connection between societies that are rich in resources, where there is failure of governance, or let me say weak governance, and societies that are in conflict. So I've mentioned identity conflicts, I've mentioned resource-driven conflicts, I've mentioned poverty-related inequality conflicts, not to mention religious, and that's also identity.
So in the case of Nigeria, it is all encompassing.
It is all encompassing.
Why is it so?
Because we are a multi-ethnic, multi-religious societies. Most multi-ethnic, multi-religious societies that have not fundamentally addressed questions of diversity and difference by giving everyone a sense of belonging and ownership of that geographic space referred to as theirs. You almost always end up with that. And it's not unique to Nigeria. You see the conflicts in places like India, also ethnically and religiously divided like us. Places like Indonesia, Northern Ireland. If you want to go to so-called developed societies, you have that as one reason. We have not successfully managed our diversity and difference well. And our politics also has not been as inclusive as it should be. Because in most diverse and ethnically divided societies, the key to resolving permanent tension is the nature of management of that diversity. And that is why most diverse countries almost always go for federal constitutions that allow the different parts to take ownership of their own developmental strides, whilst also being part of that managed center.
Is that why you called for the devolution of power in your book?
Oh, clearly. That is why. Calling for devolution or decentralization of power is not calling for the unmaking of nations. I am suggesting the remaking of the Nigerian state without the dissolution of the Nigerian state. I'm an unapologetic Nigerianist, if there's anything so-called, because I believe there's more to gain from our being together than going our separate ways. Because if we do, all those issues that bedevil the Nigerian state today will be replicated in those atomized forms if we end up that way. I hope we don't.
State Affairs with Edmond Dobilo is live.
That is Dr. Kayode Fayemi, a former governor of Ekiti State. He is my analyst on this edition of State Affairs. Dr. Fayemi holds a PhD in War Studies from King's College London. At the moment, he is a visiting professor at King's College. Kayode Fayemi is the president of Pan-African Forum of subnational leaders known as the Forum of Regions of Africa. He is a former chairperson of the Nigeria Governors Forum. The program is State Affairs on Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. So if you're listening on Splash, we are taking a break. But if you are listening on X and on YouTube, the show continues. We'll return to Splash after this break. It is the Radio Man's time. So, you listened to Fayode Kayemi there. What do you have to say? So let's engage as Fayemi analyzes on the show. As I break the issues down, you also help us break it down. So you can call on WhatsApp. Let's do it together. You can call on WhatsApp 08039 18449. That's the WhatsApp number to call. 08039 18449. And when making your contribution, please don't exceed 3 minutes. At most 4. Once you get into 4, I'll let you know that it's time to round off. Don't exceed 4. 4 is the limit. But 3 is fine, so that we can take as many calls as possible. So summarize your point, hit the nail on the head as you make the call. So call 08039 18449. That is 080 999 18449. WhatsApp call. A strong nation is a union of strong individuals. Individuals who refuse to outsource their morality to the government. A strong nation is a union of strong individuals who refuse to outsource their morality to the government. It is the entrepreneur who chooses fairness over easy profits. The public servant who serves in shadow without need for acclaim. The neighbor who acts with kindness. Are you there? A strong nation It's a nation of strong individuals who refuse to outsource their morality to the government. It is the entrepreneur who chooses fairness over easy profit. The public servant who serves without need for acclaim. The neighbor who acts with kindness without expectation of reward. Take note of this point again as we go on this journey together. We must be willing to dig, to undertake the well-ordered strenuous of personal and collective improvement. That is why the focus of this program is national awakening. For nations to rise, the human spirit must rise. It's about awakening. For nations to rise, the human spirit must rise. It's about awakening. We have done things the same way over the years, but we keep expecting different results. At the end of the day, we are dancing in a circle. We have done things the same way over the years, yet Nigerians are expecting different results from doing things the same way. So we must begin to do things differently, and we will get different results. Do not be carried away by the campaigns of politicians at the moment. They are doing it the same way again. It will produce the same result again. Nigerians will lament about hunger. I have carefully examined what they are doing. They are repeating what have been done again and again. And the result will be the same, whether it is Peter Obi, Tinubu, Atiku. Garbage in, garbage out. You have dreamt for too long about a country that stands for all. A country for the common good. You have dreamt about it. But even you continue to do the same things again and again, the same expectation from the same character. At the end of the day, we are all emboldened to continue to repeat ourselves. Perhaps the time has come to take the road less traveled. And the ball is always in the court of the people. What you do with the ball
in the literature,
is your making.
ball is not.
All right, I have a call here. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
I have carefully examined what they are doing. They are repeating what has been done again and again.
Hello.
And the result.
Hello, good morning. You're playing what I'm saying. Are you called? So you can call 080-309-18449. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where
Yes,
you're
good
calling
morning to
from?
you. My name is Samuel, ringing from the UK. I listened to you with so much interest this morning and nostalgia because before I left Nigeria to the UK, I was an ardent listener of your program, The State Affairs. So this morning at work, I was speaking with a fellow Nigerian over here in the UK, and our discussion was centered around what you are addressing this morning about the state of Nigeria, the state of our polity, as well as the response of Nigerians to the current political game going on as regards the 2027 elections. And we centered our discussion around how it is difficult for Nigeria to be redeemed by this same set of politicians. And this is influenced by the fact that our moral standing is in high question, such that even the next generation is not being groomed to cause a change. Your analysis and discussions around what the Nigerian nation should comprise of as regards the personalities that won't compromise, the businessman that won't compromise the expense of his moral standing against profit making and all of that components is exactly what our discussion was all about at work before I got home and tuned to your station. And I was, really impressed to call this morning. I think what the Nigerian nation needs beyond rhetorics is going back to the place of education, moral education and values. The point at which this is, put in place, where the values of individuals, is such that it's at a level where it can be compromised on, then the people will understand that every other thing will take place. It's interesting that every Nigerian knows what is right, that would impress a change on the nation, but no one has that moral standing to be able to do this. So I think what we need as a nation is for our educational system to get back to that point where moral takes the pivot point of our education beyond the theoretical part and every other thing, because we have been so blessed as a nation, that all we need is the place of us not compromising on moral and civil, or on our morals and civics. So I am ringing this morning to submit that the education of Nigerians should be pivotal, should be the most important thing that we should be looking at, working on. And I believe with this, every other thing will take shape. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you there? Remember, Kayode Fayemi, the former governor of Ekiti State, is my guest on this edition of State Affairs. Let me make again the point that last caller reflected on. You see, a strong nation is a nation of strong individuals who refuse to outsource their morality to the government. It is the entrepreneur who chooses fairness over easy profit. The public servant who serves without need for acclaim. The neighbor who acts with kindness without expectation of rewards. So if you are listening on Splash FM, you call my WhatsApp number. I am not in Nigeria at the moment, so I'm not speaking from Nigeria. So don't call the studio number. Call my WhatsApp number, 080-999-18449. That's the number to call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Edmond.
Good morning.
Yeah. Believe it's been a while. Mr. Edmond, I was on TikTok last night listening to your program. Like I told you on TikTok last night, you need to pick a lecturing job. And you responded, you are doing a lecturing job on radio, teaching people, educating people, telling us to get some books. But Mr. Edmond, it has come to my understanding that our leaders have released what I will call moral jihad on the Nigerian citizens. Our leaders have released what I will term as destroy them. They have no value. Because we don't have direction. In the next 20 years or 10 years to come, anybody in his 30s or 40s will be competing to be either a governor or a president somewhere in Nigeria. What do you have to offer? What have you learned? Our moral is gone. Our values have disappeared. Like I was watching a clip yesterday of the interview, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's interview in Kigali, and the presenter asked him, why haven't you built a united African force that will make sure that Africa will produce? He have no answer. He only opened his hand and winked on the presenter. Everybody smiled and clapped at him. Condition we have found ourselves. Like you're saying, the rhetoric of the politicians who will bear the card. They travel, like you said, you're not in Nigeria. I bet you there is no Nigerian leader that have not traveled before. What did they bring to us? Then, bringing it back to the society, the churches, the pastors and the imam, the reverends, those people are on another level of production. You can see the level cancer is spread.
All right,
No
Randolph.
research center in Nigeria.
Randolph, so that we can
No
take the
research
next call.
center in... Okay. I am sorry. Like I told you before, 3 years ago, that Nigerian economy is going, pounds is going to hit, the Naira is going to hit 2,000. Before 2027 election, market, Naira is going to 3,000.
Thank you.
And the economy will be dead. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll take some legend. Some legend is here. Hello, Sam.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, man. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, good to link. I noticed the sound quality today is not too as it used to be. I guess you are not around. I don't know. You said you're not in the studio. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sam.
All right. Yeah. I noticed, Mr. Bilo, I noticed recently that you have not been bringing, because I follow your uploads on YouTube and stuff like that. But I noticed that you don't talk more on the, like, maybe 2027 election and stuff. So like you used to do, like, bring in politicians. And of course, there was a time you said you are not going to interview them. Maybe for some of, for us to know what is going on at times, so you can just bring, those your old spices of bringing those politicians, and at least, it's just an observation anyway, just an observation. You can bring some of them and give us some of those old spice like you used to do. We also try to appreciate your what you are doing. Thank you. That's just my observation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. A strong nation is a union of strong individuals who refuse to outsource their morality to the government. Kayode Fayemi, a former governor of Ekiti State, is on State Affairs.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
You said on page 4 of your book that, but while the night may be long, the dawn must come. And it always does.
Yes.
It always does. Did it happen in Yugoslavia?
There was a form of dawn in Yugoslavia.
And that was dissolution of the state.
Well, it was dissolution of the state because of the nature of the post-Cold War arrangements. It was also dissolution of the state in the USSR, and we're still dealing with the fallouts of that in Ukraine today. But those were different entities soldered together by force.
Like Nigeria?
Well, yes, like Nigeria, but the flip side in Nigeria is that actually our leaders negotiated what we eventually came out with. It's not what we are now, but what we came out with in 1960 was a negotiated settlement.
You're talking about the conferences?
The conferences. The Lancaster House Conference in London saw to it that the voices of the different groups in the country eventually became reflected in what was the federal constitution that we got, the Republican constitution that we got. It wasn't everything that everyone wanted, but it was an approximation.
Is that what you call consensus building?
That's consensus building. And it could have worked if it had not been mediated by intemperate politics.
Intemperate politics. We are always going through intemperate politics, yet we are alive. There must be something special about us.
Well, there are those who say that God is a Nigerian, because when we get to that precipice, that brink, when it appears to all that all hope had been lost, something happens and we pull back from the brink.
Is that why we dance in a circle?
It encourages complacency, because I think what we really ought to do is to be intentional about organizing our state. Yes, nation building is always going to be unfinished. There is no perfect union. Every nation is in search of the perfect union. But nations always strive to improve on what they have. We have come to the conclusion that that improvement cannot be revolutionary, that it will be incremental. But the incremental nature of it is debilitating in Nigeria. It's not progressive.
It's not progressing. But you are a progressive.
I would like to think that's what I am, and that's how I describe myself.
And you are a member of the All Progressives Congress.
I still am.
Yet we are not progressive.
Well, that may sound like a contradiction in terms, but maybe I am being a little unkind, because I would have loved us to have progressed further than where we are. It's not as if we're not making progress at all, but it's so minuscule for a nation that has a manifest destiny to lead the continent. This was the country that led in the 70s when General Murtala Muhammad led his government in support of the liberation of Angola and led the African countries at the African Union Summit that Africa has come of age. We're no longer dependent on dictation from any so-called powers. That was an assertion of our place in history. And we then put our money where our mouth was at that time. And that is why it's unfortunate when you see what is going on in Southern Africa, particularly in South Africa now. But then again, the bomb-free generation that never knew Mandela or knew anything, that are confronted by the debilitations of the moment in their country, don't have a sense of that history.
Whose fault?
Well, fault of their educational system. But even if they did, even those who had a sense of that history are confronted by their own daily challenges of unemployment, of hunger, of poverty. And when you are narrowed into that debilitating situation, you often don't have the opportunity to broaden your horizon and not see the person who is doing the menial job as your enemy. It happened to us too. People forget.
Ghana must go.
Ghana must go. We believe that Ghanaians were the source of all our problems. And we were also sent away by Busia in 1969. So what Shagari did in 1981 and 83 was a replica of what Busia did to Nigerians in Ghana. So when Nigerians are, apoplectic, enraged over what is going on in South Africa now, we seem to have forgotten our history too, that we did this as a country too, and we are supposed to be a leading Pan-African nation that embraced all, that provided our space for anyone who found his or her way into our country. So maybe we need to tarry a while and reflect more on how to deal with these issues holistically.
Busia dismantled what Nkrumah built.
Absolutely.
Perhaps Shagari wanted to take revenge. Perhaps Murtala Muhammad was just idealistic, saying Africa has come of age. Look at the Africa. From the Sahel to the Horn of Africa. And yet Murtala Muhammad said Africa has come of age.
Yes.
In 1975.
And he backed it up. The point he was making then was that as a collective, we have the opportunity to make a difference if we don't allow ourselves to be divided. Murtala had a vision of Pan-Africanism along the lines of Nkrumah. But the reality we're confronted with is that we're not just one Africa. Africa is not a country.
It should be a country.
Well, that's the vision of those of us who believe in Pan-Africanism. And that is a commonsensical vision, because when you look at the way the world is structured, 1.4.5 billion occupy this continent. China is roughly about the same. India, about the same. The European Union is even less, 800 million probably. And the Americas. So, if we're to really have a chance to organize ourselves in a developmental sense, we cannot do it by cutting up ourselves and negotiating individually. That, I think, is the common sense approach that we must take. What is in the overall interest of Africa? Take critical minerals. Everybody talks about critical minerals now. I was privileged in the past to have occupied the office of the mining minister in this country. And just as we handled OPEC in the past. We're at that point. The world needs what Africa has. Everybody is after it. China is competing for it. The Americas are competing for it. Europe is competing for it. Yet, we have not organized ourselves. Even though there's an African mining vision that mining ministers developed as far back as 2010 that clearly privileges beneficiation, that is local production of whatever raw materials we have in our soil, rather than allowing them to be taken away as raw materials to wherever else they then get turned into lithium battery or materials for our phones and computers and so on and so forth. So when we're having these conversations, it should be possible for Africa to come back to that same point and say, okay, you want our minerals? Yes, we have our minerals. This is the minimum, irreducible minimum condition for us to even engage in this conversation. You have the expertise, bring the expertise here. Develop the minerals here. And then you can utilize it for whatever industry you want to utilize it for. That way, we will not lose value. It's like we're back to the era of our cocoa in the 50s and 60s, being taken to Cadbury in Birmingham and turned to Bonvita before it is returned to us at a greater cost.
Are you talking about the people that don't learn from history?
Well, I'm a student of history. I can't but keep referring to history.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
That is Dr. Kayode Fayemi, former governor of Ekiti State. He is my guest on State Affairs. Fayemi was technical advisor to the Human Rights Violations Investigation Commission, also known as Oputa Panel. Fayemi was technical expert to the Economic Community of West African States on small arms and light weapons. Fayemi was technical expert to the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa on governance issues. He is my analyst on state affairs. So on Splash FM, Ibadan. We talk politics, we talk history, and we talk power. So stay tuned. Remember, you can also leave your message on X. I'm on X. You can leave your comment on YouTube. We are streaming live on X and on YouTube. So you can also leave your comments on those platforms. You can also call the number 080 18449. 080 18449. I was reading the works of James Allen, and he makes the point that all the works of man which endure are built upon them. All the works of man which endure are built upon them moral virtues. So our moment will not be our tallest towers, but our most just courts, our most reliable word, our most selfless acts. These are the structures that time cannot erode. This part is not one of passive hope, but of active daily courage. That Nigeria is not flying is also not just about the failings of the political leadership. It is our failings. For those who have jackpot, you left your country struggling. It is also your right to jackpot. So also take note, when you cry from Britain, when you cry from America, never forget that you left your country when you could not even solve the problem. It's also not the failings of the political class alone. It's our failings that we've all stood by as our country falter from one policy to the other. As bandits ravage homes, should I say bandits have conquered. They've ravaged Plateau. They've ravaged Benue. They've ravaged Zamfara, Katsina, Kaduna. They are coming to Yoruba land. It seems they have become unstoppable. For those of us in our cities, we don't feel it yet, right? Because those in the cities are still immune to some extent. But we go around if we all don't wake up and say enough is enough. We must rise up to the task of defeating the bandits. There is war. There is war. And we need to be alert to war. I wait to listen to you. You can call 080 999 18449. There is work to be done, the work of nation building, and it is the task of all. The jihadist. Let me paint a picture for you. It is Wednesday night in central Mali. Two villages, Kori Kori and Gomosogo, the Mopti region. You can also study the Mopti region in Mali. It can also be described as a frontline trench war. So this is the dusty, hot desert of the Sahel, where the Sahara Desert bleeds into the savannah. What did the people see? Men arrive on motorcycles. They are not wearing uniforms. They carry rifles and torches. To those who saw them, they burst into homes, firing indiscriminately. By the time the dust settles, many are dead. They are on the ground, bloodied. By the next morning, diplomatic sources push that many are gone. Teenagers down, militiamen killed, mothers and elderly are gone. The jihadis have done it again. An affiliate of Al-Qaeda, the Group for the Support of Islam and Muslims, you can call that JNIM, claimed responsibility for the attack. What a time to be born. They say it was retaliation. Retaliation for what? And why did the Russian mercenaries from Africa Corps pull out? Why the jihadis were on rampage? Why? Why is the capital of Mali, Bamako, under a blockade? Why? Yeah. The capital of Mali, Bamako, is under a blockade. Why? Will a Nigerian capital be under a blockade soon? Like it's happening in Mali and Burkina Faso at the moment. You know, it's the same scenario. Let's look at the logic of the bloodshed. We are using Mali as a master class in modern insurgency. We will explain why a farmer picks up a gun and why an Al-Qaeda fighter is different from a separatist, and why, despite coups, Russian support, and UN peacekeepers, the bad guys keep expanding their horizons. To understand what is going on in Mali, we have to rewind the tape to 2012. I call this the perfect storm of failure. The Sahel is a semi-arid belt below the Sahara. It is the poorest, hottest, and most neglected real estate on earth. For decades, the Tuareg people in northern Mali wanted independence. They called their homeland Azawad. In 2012, Tuareg rebels tried to seize the north. But while they were fighting, a bunch of radical Islamists, harder, better funded, and more brutal, showed up to the party. The Islamists ate the secular rebels' lunch. JNIM, Al-Qaeda affiliate in Africa. They are a sophisticated global jihadist movement. They play the long game. They don't just kill, they tax, they judge disputes, they provide some order to win loyalty. What about ISIS, the brutal white cards? They behead for the cameras. They are getting closer. What about foreign failures? France sent armies to Francophone countries. The United Nations sent peacekeepers. Then came the coups. In 2020, Colonel Assimi Goïta seized power. Why? Because the civilian government was losing the war. The junta proved to be tougher. How far? Being tough meant dumping the French and hiring the Russians. So enter the Wagner Group, now rebranded as Africa Corps. These are not heroes. They are business model mercenaries. They control gold mines and protect the military for a cut of the revenue. That is what is going on in Mali, in Russia, in Niger. In the case of Nigeria, America wants to make a deal. Will Tinubu sign? That is if Tinubu has not signed already. Recently, the Russians were forced to withdraw from the northern city of Kidal. Kidal was the spiritual capital of the Tuareg rebellion. Losing Kidal is huge. Losing Kidal is huge. Did bandits strike somewhere in Oyo recently? Yes, they did. The bandits also come with jihadist messages. I hope we should wake up. I have been screaming. I hope we are listening. If you are sitting there and lamenting, calling on government to save you, you are on your own. Yes, government is limited at this time. The Nigerian government is fighting on many fronts. The Nigerian people will have to rise and defend themselves. Do it. Sit together as a village. Because soon your brothers and sisters in the villages will run to town. They will be displaced. They will come with mats and pots. I hope you are ready to accommodate them. Okay. A security source said that the attacks in Mali were carried out in retaliations for acts attributed to the Dan Na Abasago. It's a militia group in that country. Okay, let me take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello, Edmond. Good morning. Hello.
I'm listening to you.
Okay. You see,
You are not saying anything. Where's the sound coming from? Join the broadcast. Make your point. Hello, good morning.
This lazy is it?
Good morning.
Good morning. I want to talk on just two issues that you raised. The latter part of your talk, raising alarm over the insurgency coming closer to Southwest, and the incident happened, or you're aware, some kids were kidnapped, a teacher was killed, and the principal was taken away. You asked us to rise, that we shouldn't wait for government. But as soon as people rise and they get their own ammunition, you see the DSS and the government law enforcement coming to, harass them and arrest them. Because the least we can do now is to defend ourselves with weapons. And from the last time I checked, citizens are not licensed to, own guns. So Edmond, that's a question I wanted to put to you, maybe after this call. How do we rise up as a village, as community, without having something to defend ourselves? These guys have sophisticated weapons. And so when we have our own weapons, I hope the government will not harass us because they have failed to protect us as citizens. That is the only saving grace, if we can be allowed to have our own weapons. Number two, we have talked about education. The caller from UK and one of your previous caller. And I asked, we're educated. Some of us are educated, but when the politicians weaponize poverty, Edmond, how do I, as an educated person, how do I survive in a country that has been weaponized by poverty? I can't do anything. If we keep on saying education is the light that brings you above poverty, and the leaders in that country are not building infrastructures, there's no stability or power, then that means I am useless as a citizen, as an educated citizen. And I've said, Dr. Fahimi said something very important. He said devolution of power. Now, one of the regions setting us backward is the North. I mentioned it before, and each time I say that, you might quickly want to tell me that why am I listening at the North? If Awolowo did not wait for the Southeast or the North, he did not wait for any of them. That's why I have great respect for that man. The greatest politician Nigeria has ever had is Awolowo. Look at the use Koko to build what we are seeing today as legacies. He didn't wait for any region. And so I concur with Dr. Fahimi. If we go by regionalism, we abandon whatever region wants to stay behind if they don't want to embrace education. Because as far as I'm concerned, Nigeria today, one of the reasons why we are where we are is because the northern part has refused to embrace education. And until we devolve, until power is until we have regionalism, Edmond, there's no way Nigeria can progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Different persons have been asking. You said we should save ourselves. How do we save ourselves? Okay, don't worry. Be asking me. When it gets to your door, you know what to do. You want to hear from me, right? When it gets to your door, you know what to do. Okay? Yeah, I wish you well. The lines are open. Remember, call my WhatsApp number 080 18449.
Hello, Edmond.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Saken.
Good to hear your voice.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
You see, the comment I want to make about. Hello?
I can hear you.
See, what I'm trying to say is that people, during the Buhari regime, the Hausas that you think they are coming down here because of the insecurity in their land. It is not because of that they are coming here. Buhari was a gateway for them when he was the president. And they want them to scatter all over Nigerians.
You see, there are certain things I will not allow you to say on air.
Okay, let me just correct my tongue, please.
All right.
For the reason of coming down here is that if you can remember that term vividly, most of them were carried by trailers. Okay.
Hello. All right. You see, I know we want to express ourselves fully. But some of the northerners you see are Nigerians. Take note. They are Nigerians. They have a right to move to any part of this country as far as Nigeria is concerned. So when you raise certain allegations against them, because I have also studied, and I know that many of them are displaced. Many communities have been ravaged in the north. I'm a student of history. That is not to say we don't have foreigners coming in. But when there is total violence in a community, what follows is displacement. People will run away. I have seen that in war situation. That is why you have refugees. That's why you have internally displaced persons. They will run to where there is peace. So do not forget that. Even in times of peace, people move. People move. So when we overgeneralize, I tend to say no. Yes, there are exceptions. But many northerners in the south, especially those you see coming in, are also displaced persons. That's not to say politicians don't have their own intrigues, but that is not what I intend to analyze here. There are interferences coming in. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm talking on behalf of what you said earlier about displacement of our Fulani is coming to Ibadan. Yes, it's true. They are coming to Ibadan, but let us not forget that what is going on is a Jedi. They want to turn Nigeria to Islamic State. And if we look at all these people that are killing people, you see, when they kill, they want to kill, they will start with Allah Akbar. That their talk, they will start to talk about it. They want to, all of them have same agenda. They want Nigeria to become Islamic State. Until we get that, we are not going anywhere. We are not going anywhere. If we do not get that, we will not know the foundation of Nigerian problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, there are jihadists. That is clear. That is why I'm making reference to Mali, that they are getting closer to government house. That is not in doubt. And jihadists are also different from internally displaced persons. So let's make the difference. I'm talking about jihadists, and that is why I'm raising the point here about Mali, that they are getting closer, and they might take over the government of Mali soon. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Edmond. Yeah, my name is Wale. You see, the situation in Nigeria requires critical thinking. Governors need to up their games. Like the perspective, the direction I'm coming from is that why is it that now that the allocation has increased, that's when the insecurity has increased? The system that designed the three systems of government, federal, state, and local government, knows that a governor cannot sit down in a state and be able to man every corner of the state. So that's why the local government system was created. So if governors decide to allow the local governments to work, I think, in my opinion, the level of insecurity will be a bit reduced. Like all this rural-urban migration, it's because there is no life in those rural areas. Let the governors empower the local government. Let them release their allocation to them. If a local government that is functioning will be able to man what is territories. There's this talk that used to annoy me when they say ungoverned area. How can we say a place is ungoverned? Is it not under one local government? Is it not under one ward? Someone is there that's supposed to man all these areas. But all these local government chairmen are incapacitated. All this money the federal government released to the state governors, let them release to the local government chairmen. And then if anything is now happening, leave them to EFCC to handle them. But if we are going to continue this way, I'm afraid, I don't think we are going anywhere. So if this insecurity is going to be reduced, our local governments must come alive. That's my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Join the discourse. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Mr. Ola. I'm calling from Surulere in Lagos State. We are talking about this Boko Haram of a thing that they are here in Ibadan.
They are not
and
in
if I
Ibadan.
may ask you, Mr.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is not the below.
Go ahead. You are listening
Splash
to
FM.
Edmond. This is Splash.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think I'm replying to the discussion in the that you are discussing. So according to me, what I believe that is happening that because when the other caller was called, you are trying to tell him that he should not that people can move from any part of the state to any part of the state. Okay, I agree according to the constitution. But they are making damages to the state that they are coming to. There's a problem. Coming down here is a problem.
Are you done with your point? Okay, he has made his point. His points are noted. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Edmond.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I can hear you make your point.
Yeah, this is Sanyolu Adeyemo calling from Ibadan, Odona.
Make your point.
We have to put ourselves in the right path, because there are some things we have mixed in Nigeria, in Africa generally, which we think that it is not working. It has to work until Africans look at the statement Tinubu made at Kigali. He said Nigerians, Africans are not supposed to be releasing their resources to the Western world. But what is happened to our president? The China people in Nigeria moving our resources. Is our president, the African leaders, are they telling us that they don't know anything about that? Are they not the people that invite those people on our to come and pack our resources, in which supposed to be the material that we can use to develop Africa generally? We need a true African leader, not the capitalist. We need a true African leader, not the capitalist. Understand? They know the right thing to do, but they are not ready to do it. They know, but they want to build empires, like all these Tinubu and co. They want to build empire. They are not building the country. They are not building Nigeria. Look at what Tinubu is doing. Building empire, not building the resources of this country. So is that what we have to sit on? We believe one day. We believe one day we will scale through. Good morning, Edmond.
Thank you, Mr. Sanyolu. Kayode Fayemi, a former governor of Ekiti State, is on state affairs. He is part of the discourse this morning. Are you there?
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live.
You have just confirmed a continuous scramble for Africa.
Oh, yes. It's just a different type of scramble now.
So the scramble never ends.
The scramble has never ended. And we make ourselves even susceptible to it. I mean, we get caught. Today, you can see what is happening in Kenya. Our president is in Kenya, attending the Forward Africa Summit, France-Africa Summit. It's even an improvement, maybe because of our earlier criticism of that model of taking 54 African countries to China, Beijing, and say you have China-Africa meeting, or taking the whole 54 to Washington and say you have China-America meeting. Maybe there's a variation there, and France has been forced to come back. But this is the same France responsible for some of the heinous crimes that we're dealing with on the continent. Some of what you refer to in the Sahel, France has been at the roots of it.
Tell me more. How?
How? Well, what has happened to the Francophone African nations is what has encourage the dependency in those states more than ever before.
What has happened to them?
Yes. Whether you're talking their economy, even their reserves is tied to the French francs. The money that they earn from agriculture, from whatever resources are in their land, has been tied since, apart from Sekou Touré, Guinea that went against that. The rest of that axis, the Francophone Africa axis, whether Francophone West Africa or Francophone Central Africa, had been tied to the apron strings of the French Republic. And their leaders have always been protected, quote and unquote, even when they're the most unpopular with their citizens at home. So this has been long in gestation. And the deep resentment that we now see that has led to the eviction of France from many of these countries. Some may describe it, and it may be correct to a certain extent, that it is exuberance on the part of the young military leaders. But it is an exuberance that has been informed by a history of dependency that has not produced any concrete development in those states. And you can see that virtually across the board. Even the defense pacts that they used to have, all of them are stepping out of it. But the tragedy of that is that what is the point of replacing a Francophone defense pact with a Russophone defense pact?
That also brings us to the point. Africa has always been dependent. It's either it's America, it's either it's France, Britain. Today we talk about Mali. Russia is in charge. Burkina Faso depends on Russia. Central African Republic, Russia. So we have replaced France with Russia. What is it about the African that cannot stand alone?
First, it is not correct that we've always been dependent.
Have we not always been dependent?
I don't believe we've always been
You just gave us a historical analysis of Francophone countries.
I have. But when those countries failed to come to the rescue in our most critical moments, Africans rallied. African fought apartheid to a standstill. Many of those countries you refer to were lukewarm in the struggle against racial discrimination. It was left in the hands of the frontline states. Nigeria playing a very critical role in that. That's one. When Europeans and the Americans refused in the late 80s and the early 90s to contribute boots on ground in Sierra Leone, in Liberia, it was left to us, and we did a human task, again led by Nigeria. So I do not subscribe to the notion that we've always been dependent.
The weapons you used in Sierra Leone.
Where we have been determined to take on our own responsibilities, I think we've done reasonably well. What you can argue is that this has been few and far between, and it has not been consistently on an upward swing. The same Nigeria that did that ran into stormy waters in Niger. So there is leadership question, there is capacity question, there is commitment to Pan-Africanism as the single most critical condition for our foreign policy dynamics. And the totality of that, which would also enable us to sensitize our citizenry, because sometimes if the citizenry is not on your side, foreign affairs is seen as an unnecessary intervention on the part of people who are trying to eke out a living. And they don't believe that their country should be putting resources that should be expended on them, on matters that may have a bearing on them, as we have seen with Boko Haram now, which has tentacles in all of our neighborhood. If Nigeria had not been playing the role it was playing earlier in those neighborhoods, we probably would have seen this much earlier than we did.
That's Kayode Fayemi, a former governor of Ekiti State. He is my guest on State Affairs. During the week, we will upload the Fayemi interview on YouTube. Then you can listen to the interview, and it will be uploaded in parts. In this interview, we delve into the problems of Africa, into the problems of the West African sub-region. We looked at Nigeria's politics, the politics of APC. We talked about Operation Wet Year. The Fayemi interview on State Affairs. So if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe. From next week, we'll begin to upload in parts. Fayemi went down the history lane. It's an interview you should not miss. I recommend Kayode Fayemi's books to you. He writes so well. I did the interview, I kept reminding him that you write so well that when I read you, I remember that you are a former governor. And I look at Ekiti, and Ekiti is not like Dubai. Why? What did Fayemi say? Kayode Fayemi. He wanted to be president. Why did he step down for Tinubu? What happened? Will he still be president? Kayode Fayemi established the Center for Democracy and Development, a research and training institution, before he became governor. He is a fellow of the Center for Peace and Conflict Studies, University of Ibadan. He is an adjunct professor of Security Studies at the African Center for Strategic Studies, National Defense University, Fort McNair, Washington, D.C. And if you listen to the interview, he thinks differently. Though being part of the political class, he thinks differently. And he is not apologetic about stating his views, even against the character of his party. He frowns at certain actions going on in the APC and the general polity. He also defended his actions as governor. I asked him, how did he allow Fayose to defeat him in an election? How? All right. You know, he talks about building political parties with genuine ideological basis rather than mere election winning machines. All right. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to listen to the Kayode Fayemi interview. Have you listened to the interview with Chief Tola Adini? Deep interview. All my talk with Tola Adini is already on YouTube. Remember last week I brought you snippets of my chat with Dr. Omole, the author of From Soldier to Statesman, It is the autobiography of Muhammadu Buhari. If you go on my YouTube channel, we have finished uploading the Omole interview. We are streaming on X, we are streaming on YouTube. So if you have any comments, you can leave your comments on X. Let me see. I can see Big Pedro on X. He says, "It is my ambition to lead in whatever capacity, no matter how small. But the failures of intellectuals of the past make me wonder if I will be able to make any difference. Good to be in class. You can make the difference, Big Pedro. Is that not why you are big? Unleash your potentials. Have no fear. You are caught out for greatness. Just that many Nigerians are not testing themselves. That is why they keep looking for messiahs. You can be the one to save the land. Test your ability." Let's go on YouTube. Let's see. Let's see what you were saying there. And remember, you can also call my WhatsApp number. Don't call Splash FM studio number. I'm not in that studio. But you can call my WhatsApp number, 080 18449. That is 080 18449. That's the number to call. All right, I am on YouTube at the moment. I can see Adetola Sheyi Olayode says, "Nigeria will not work. Stop wasting your energy." I can see Bada Moses. "We say we don't want the Northerners here, but we are angry at the South Africans." Yes, don't mind them. At home here, you don't even want Igbo, you don't want Yoruba, you don't want Fulani. But once they strike at you in foreign countries, you begin to lament. That is being hypocritical. Accepted. Those are the voices of hypocrites. It is our land, they should leave. But once they chase Nigerians in South Africa, you begin to cry. But here, you don't even want different tribes to be with you. Leave. You define all of them together. They are criminals in every tribe. Take note. What is good for the goose is good for the gander. And for the South Africans, they don't understand history. Nigeria was a frontline state in the struggle against apartheid. You know what it means to be a frontline state? Normally, frontline states are the states around where the fight is going on. Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Mozambique. Those are the frontline states around South Africa. Nigeria in West Africa became a frontline state to fight for South Africa. We expended money, huge money. We gave scholarship to South Africans. Some of them have become their leaders. We paid their fees. On a good day, Nigeria should have a citizenship of South Africa. Because our leaders were not strategic, somebody wakes up and says, Nigeria, go? How? We invested in South Africa. And you want me to even get visa to go to South Africa after what we spent building that country? It's because we have weak leaders. We invested billions fighting against apartheid in South Africa. We invested billions in Angola. And yet you tell me to obtain visa to go to South Africa. Why? A Nigerian should obtain visa to visit South Africa. It's because of the failure of leadership at home. Tomorrow, Liberia will stand up too and say, hey, I need to get visa to come, Sierra Leone. Because our leaders have never been strategic in foreign policy. You can see how Tinubu has messed up foreign policy. In his time, ECOWAS became a divided body. Okay? The politics is revving up. Tomorrow you hear Igbos come and go. Yorubas come and go. Fulani, go to your country. Which country? Have you built a country? Unnecessary sentiment. You see, if I have the chance to govern, and I will struggle for it someday, I will grant citizenships to many Africans. I will. I will even grant citizenship to Chinese. Since we cannot build our land, let them come help. I will give citizenship to brilliant people from any part of the world. Nigerians cannot build their country. I would have been waiting for Nigerians who cannot build their countries, who are ethnic jingoists, fighting against themselves. I will bring people from Netherlands. I will give them citizenship. I thought they are brilliant people. Let them come and help build the land. Americans are giving brilliant people from Nigeria, from any part of the world, citizenship. And they are building America. China is about doing that. In Africa, you see Kenya. Come on, Kenya. You can't even give citizenship to Nigerians. Even Rwanda, everybody is forming. Africa is supposed to be a brotherly continent. You can't even grant citizenship. In the 1960s, Ghana had the guts to chase Africans out of Ghana. Today we are talking about South Africa. Fayemi mentioned it. Ghana had the guts to chase Africans out of Ghana in the 1960s. Nigeria retaliated under Shagari and chased Ghanaians away from Nigeria. And today we have the bags called Ghana Must Go. You have forgotten that. And South Africa is repeating it. We've not learned. And all these countries doing this, they are all poor countries. They can't even build their countries. Ghana poor, Nigeria poor. See South Africa, the whites built it, the blacks are destroying it. They can't even build. The blacks can't build. What have they done since the end of apartheid? Look at Mali. Mali has been ravaged. Burkina Faso is about falling into the hands of jihadists. Niger is about falling into the hands of jihadists. Poverty everywhere. And we talk about the scramble for Africa. If you are listening on Splash 105.5 FM, the radio man is here. All right. On Splash, I will be back. If you're listening on YouTube and on X, I am on. So, stay tuned, stay cool. Hello, John.
John, how do you find me? I'm not looking at him as a saint. I am John Oisi, anyway. You see, when he was out of government as the governor of Ekiti State, or before then, when he was in ACN, he contributed to the removal of the government of Jonathan. Even though he confirmed that Jonathan government was doing well. But what they wanted was to seize power and then destroy what is good. And that's what made us to be where we are today. We are talking about some small countries chasing Nigerians out of their country. Yes, I think it boils down to our leaders not being strategic, as you said. Do you know that as of today, Ghana is still threatening Nigerians to leave their country? Ghana, for that matter. What is our leaders doing to making sure that Nigeria is being feared in Africa and beyond? Rather, they gather to eat our money, fire our money, and share our money within themselves and their cronies, leaving the basic thing that's supposed to be done for the masses undone. And continue like that, we'll be suffering. But if people are moving from one part of the country to another, I think they should be governed by the law. Not to go and begin to cause wahala, cause mayhem, killing people in the name of trying to enforce people to believe in your own ideologies. I think that is not good. Yes, I can live in Sokoto, provided I'm living within the ambit of the law. Somebody from Sokoto can go and live in Ibadan. If you can live within the ambit of the law and live peacefully with their neighbors. But when you go and you say no, and begin to cause unnecessary mayhem, me, I don't subscribe to that, and you too will not subscribe to that. So the law should be given power to bite. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Thank you. So the lines are opened. Make your point. I can see Olarewaju Yusuf. He said, but they respect the law and culture. See, when you talk about law, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. It's not even whether Fulani committed any crime or whether Igbo committed. Once the law is the law and you commit crime, then you face the law. The law cannot be ethnicized. It cannot be ethnicized. And when the law cannot take care of the state, what do you have? You have anarchy. You have anarchy. And when unrighteous men are in charge, the land becomes anarchic. That is why it is said that righteousness exalts a nation. You can call in and express yourself. Ganiyu Hakim says, upon all our minerals that is supposed to be useful for us, most of our politicians make use of them to oppress us. Sorry about that. I can see Adetola here. Adetola Shi says, we have discussed with some South Africans and they said they don't care about all those rhetorics. They don't care now. That is why they are doing what they are doing. So for you Nigerian that is there, I don't know. At last, you have to save yourself. Because your government cannot even save you. Those at home, the government is dealing with them. Is it those abroad that the government will save? You don't even know if you are there. Do they care? Olarewaju Yusuf says, then, does it mean some of our fellow countrymen to go and be installing themselves as kings in faraway South Africa? If the laws in South Africa is against it, they should be arrested. But if the law is not against it, why are we making mountain out of a molehill? Is all of you even paying attention to this king thing? Whether you wear crown on your head, it doesn't concern me. If you like, come and wear 20 crowns. It doesn't concern me. So it doesn't even bother me. I bow to no one. Criminality is different from ethno-religious agenda. Please, let's not mix it. Yes, it is different, no doubt. I agree with you. So let's not mix it. If you are a criminal, you are a criminal. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, dear brother Edmond. Joe, well done, sir. This is Bowale calling from Odono, Ibadan. Yes, I don't blame so many people. The heaviness of their hearts to find a way out made them ask questions, forgetting that you are a radio man and there are ethics and constitution that binds you talking as a radio man on radio. Example, the person that asked about how do we protect ourselves? And I laugh when you said, okay, no problem. When it happens or when they are near you, you will know what to do. Then, of course, we always know what to do. but the negligence is preparing for it before it happens. Now, I'm concerned about, even the Bible says when the creation, it said, be fruitful and take charge. In Yoruba, it says, Eshe Kawo, take charge, be in control. Now, that is for the first family in the Bible. What we all are experiencing in Nigeria is the lack of taking charge, right from the family. And I heard somewhere that the leaders of today that we're having right now are the youth of some years back. Not to take much of our time, what I want to say is this. If we as citizens can just rise up to put just one agenda to the federal government, 4 years, do this, you are not doing it, we are voting it out. We have the human power, we have the constitution to do it, no matter how they plan to rig it. That is the truth. Now, our resources will never be processed, our raw material will never be processed in this country if there is no light, and no government has been able to fix this. I don't think we are seeing where this is coming from. Is it deliberate? I'm now thinking it's deliberate. Because how can you have steady light? How can you not have a steady light? And you want your lithium, all of these things, to be processed and manufactured in your country. It is not possible. They will continue to take it to their country to do and sell it back to us. If an agenda is being put, if we all can put our voices together, sir, President Tinubu, just fix life for us in the next 4 years. If you can do it, we will see if we can re-elect you in another 4 year time. If that has been the way we've been doing it, Nigeria will have been the greatest. President Buhari fixed agriculture and security for us. Just all of this and this. But when they fail, they come back to us and we accept them. Yes, it is because poverty has been weaponized. Some are giving money to control others. But the truth is, it is still back down to us. Because as family, how much do you know of history that will make you struggle and said, if it is just one plot of land that I will plant my tomato and this is just not to be hungry, to educate my children. This is the way of life, to get it right, to not be hungry to the extent that you'll be selling your rights. You have to live by example. How much do you know as a parent to take control of the mind of your children? Thank you, Edmund.
Thank you. I appreciate your call. Thank you. Thank you for joining the discourse. I'm enjoying myself. Thank you. Somebody sent a WhatsApp message, the radio man. I told you severally that Nigeria can only move forward with the constitution practiced in 1960, not the current constitution produced by the caliphate. We are only deceiving ourselves. Recall, during this period, we had the first of everything. That even most Western countries didn't have at the time. I make bold to say, as the caliphate planned the destruction of the West during Awolowo, so they are doing to make Islamist agenda possible and make this country their launch pad. There is no moving forward, I repeat, under the current constitution. This message is from Samuel Adeoye Additional. Thank you, Mr. Additional. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Most Western countries. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Edmond Obilo.
Make your point.
I think around 2024, I think there was a program you made in 2024, October. You are talking about renew of our mind. And you bring that edition again last year. You know, one of the fundamental problems that we are facing in Nigeria right now is that most of us were wired
in the way for us to think negatively. For instance, now, the election is coming around now. They have made that point to us that if we don't collect money from all these politicians, we cannot vote. Now, there was a mother in my house, there was a grandma in my house that was telling me yesterday that, if they don't pay money, I will not vote for them. They are like 5 in our company like that. That if they don't pay money, we are not voting them. In my mind, I was just thinking that, how much are they going to give you guys? The highest money they can give you is 10,000 naira, and on that same day, you are going to spend that money finish. I think the problem we are having in Nigeria right now is our mind. We are wired in a way that make us to think that we can't grow. They have limited us. They have really limited us. And one of my prayers is that Almighty God is going to help us. So that as we have always urged us, one of the ways to renew our mind is for us to read. I started reading through your program. I started reading more about world news through your program. And I pray that we, the younger ones, will not be compromised. And God is going to help us to be able to renew our mind and able to let the change that we are seeking for to start from us. Do you know, I work at the bank. Do you know for us that most of us are guilty of this thing? Sometimes when I attend to a customer and a transaction officer, within myself, I would think that if this person did not give me something, maybe I didn't do something for the person. Last month, I was just thinking that even the change that I'm seeking for, right now, me too, I'm guilty of it, that if a customer did not give me money, that means I won't perform the way. I have to stop it. If a customer gives me something, I'll say, no, don't worry. I'm doing my service. I'm doing my work for you. This is what they paid me for. I have to do it. You know, sometimes most of us are corrupt. Even most of us, we are more corrupt than this politician that we are even blaming. If they put some of us to this post now, we are going to do worst more than them. I pray Almighty God is going to help us. Thank you so much for what you are doing for Nigeria. Thank you for what you are doing for the youth. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, what he just explained is what you call self-realization. There cannot be change except you become the change that you want. I have done research. I have sponsored personal research on human behavior. I've examined even myself. I used myself as a specimen. And that was when I hit total self-realization. You see, many are not the change that they want. And I've made this point again, and again, that what Nigeria is, it is the summation of our characters. The state of Nigeria is a confirmation of the dominant character of many Nigerians. You can push it to the politicians as you like. Yes, they have their blames too. But until there is self-realization among all of us, we all pay for it. You collect 20 naira to vote, that is your business. You know, in the past, you could come and meet me. Mr. Edmond, this is happening. I will run down, go and cover it. I don't do all those things anymore. I've said, save yourself. I've chosen the line I want to take as a journalist. And it's anchored on the product of my research. And after finding the results, my findings, and I said, this is how I want to tailor my media. And I've chosen my own path. Every media man has his own agenda. I have my own agenda. I've taken my own path, and I'm moving on it. And as I go, I will still research on it. If there's a need to take another path, I'll take it. But it is guided by results, the findings I get as I research. Kayode Fayemi. Look at this book. An African History of Africa, from the dawn of humanity to independence. An African History of Africa, from the dawn of humanity to independence, written by Zainab Badawi. I recommend this book to you. An African History of Africa, from Dawn of Humanity to Independence. You can get this book on udarabooks.com. udarabooks.com. Another book I'm recommending to you is this book, The Scramble for Africa. The Scramble for Africa by Thomas Pakenham. Thomas Pakenham. The Scramble for Africa. I recommend this book to you. You'll find this book on udarabooks.com. udarabooks.com. Another book I'm recommending to you this morning is entitled Russia in Africa, Resurgent Great Power or Bellicose Pretender by Samuel Ramani. Russia in Africa, Resurgent Great Power or Bellicose Pretender by Samuel Ramani. The book is on udarabooks.com. You can order it there. And you can also order it through my WhatsApp number. That is 080-309-18449. 080-309-18449. All right. Kayode Fayemi, a former governor of Ekiti State, is on State Affairs. Do you think Tinubu should have invaded Niger?
Well, he didn't invade Niger. He threatened to. And I think it was a product of insufficient information and knowledge of the dynamics. Don't forget, it was his first month or so in office. And the pressure was brought about by, first and foremost, the unconstitutional coup d'etat that happened there. And we're not in government. We don't know what transpired fully between President Tinubu and the Nigerian leadership behind the scene. Maybe he had tried some diplomatic moves that did not fully materialize, but the mistake that I saw was the announcement that was going to happen, especially when we know the filial links that exist between parts of Nigeria and Niger Republic. Niger shares borders with 7 states in Nigeria. And they literally cross over. I mean, I go to places like Machina in Yobe State, and it's usually 7 kilometers. If the emir of Machina is doing something, you will have about 3 or 4 emirs across the border from Niger come because they are relatives. So, blood, they say, is thicker than water. There's no way you're going to get such filial linkages disrupted by an announcement that our brothers will be invaded, and we'll take it kindly. And I think that's where we didn't maybe take advantage of the cultural homogeneity and also look for people who could have intervened with greater resonance on the other side. It wasn't a well-informed position, and I think that's also why the president walked his way back after it became obvious that the National Assembly was not going to support that.
Do we even have the capacity to invade Niger?
People tend to underestimate our military. This was the same military that did all the work I mentioned in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, in the Gambia, in Guinea-Bissau. We have a reasonably well-trained professional military. But when you are involved in counterinsurgency, you cannot fight it as if you are fighting a conventional war, because it is an asymmetrical war. That's the language we use in scholarly literature and in the military as well. You need to devise other means, because the enemy, so-called, that you're looking for is fully embedded within your communities and constituencies. You don't even know the enemy. So you can't wear uniform and carry guns looking for an enemy that you cannot easily identify and separate from civilian entities. So there is that part of it. The other part of it is Niger was very actively involved before the coup in the multinational joint task force formed by all the states around the Lake Chad region who were combating the Boko Haram menace. So, in fact, the gentleman who became the Minister of Defense in Niger after the coup was the deputy commandant of the multinational joint task force when Irabo was commandant. So there are linkages that we could have also taken advantage of in reducing the tension. And you will notice that that was partly how President Mahama dealt with the issue when he came. He didn't go gung-ho into Burkina Faso. As a matter of fact, the young man was invited. He was at his inauguration. And then diplomatic moves were made to try and break down the tension that was already prevalent before President Nana Akufo-Addo left the scene. So I guess the leaders in the region also put subtle pressure on President Tinubu to take the action he took, because they saw in it a signal that if this coup was allowed to fester the way it was going then, they all could potentially become victims of military coup d'etat. And if you look at the record, even after Niger, we saw what happened in Benin Republic, where President Tinubu went to assist in dislodging the coup. So over the last 2 or 3 years, we've had like 8 coup d'etats in West Africa alone. So some of them admittedly unsuccessful, like Benin Republic, like Chad, or even in our own Nigeria, if you believe the story that is now going on in the courts on trial. But that is significant. If you have 8 countries that have experienced in a coup menace, then clearly elected authorities must worry about the danger of proliferation. That is not to also talk about what has now become known in the literature too as constitutional coups, leaders that are changing the constitution against the will of their people in order to have an interminable tenure, whether it's called third term or remove the term completely. That is also not a right way to deepen democracy in the continent.
Under Tinubu, ECOWAS broke up.
Unfortunately.
Why? Why did he allow that?
I'm sure it wasn't a case of him allowing it. It happened under his watch because he was chairman of ECOWAS. But I believe the record would also show that there were attempts made to mend fences. But it would appear that the situation had become difficult to manage, and the coup leaders had become recalcitrant, maybe because their countries had then become a theater of operations for jockeying amongst international powers. China, Turkey, Russia, all of them were jostling, because interestingly, all these countries are also minerals rich.
They become playground.
Unfortunately, for proxy wars.
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
As we speak, jihadis are encircling Bamako in Mali.
Absolutely, not just Bamako. Even in Burkina Faso, the military junta cannot boast of being in charge of anywhere more than 40 kilometers outside of Ouagadougou and Bobo Dioulasso.
Who is backing the jihadists?
That's $1 million question to answer.
Is France taking a revenge?
I don't necessarily think, even if France were to be involved in any way, that it would be an unofficial collaboration between jihadists and because in fairness to France, France actually tried in the G5 Sahel program to work with the local forces to push back the jihadists, right from Francois Hollande's period, right through to the current Emmanuel Macron's administration.
They failed.
They failed.
Why did they fail?
Well, a number of reasons can be adduced for the failure. First, what I mentioned about a symmetrical war is something that you cannot discount. These are elements that are embedded in those communities. And the capacity of Western democracies, so-called, to withstand the threshold of pain that necessarily comes with losing soldiers is one that they are always afraid of because of the effect in their local media of being accused of dying in other people's wars. That is why, since Somalia, where the Americans lost their troops in 1990, 1991, majority of these forces have always been reluctant. Even when you set up United Nations peacekeeping forces on the continent, it's often populated by Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Indians, and then, of course, Africans. Very rarely do you find foreign troops, European or Americans, serving, except maybe in logistics.
But at some point, France has boot on the ground.
No, France had, because of the Defense Pact in all of those countries. But the problem has proliferated beyond that.
Why are the jihadis this powerful? They are getting closer to government houses. Are we going to have a Taliban taking over a state in Africa soon?
I think we cannot discount that risk. With what is happening in Mali and Burkina Faso, particularly now, and that's where I see an opportunity for us as Africans to activate the standby force that we have been talking about for the last 2 decades.
Standby force?
The African standby force.
Nigeria is even struggling at home.
Nigeria may be struggling at home, but the struggle is not to do with the number of people, the boots we have on ground. The reason why we're struggling at home and why we've pulled out of the various peacekeeping activities that we have, that if you look at our local law enforcement, we have run into challenges there. There is no state in Nigeria today where you don't have the military in aid to civil authority. Go around the 36 states. The military is actively involved in policing duties. Something that really ought not to be the responsibility of the military because of lack of confidence in our police and other paramilitary institutions.
Is it lack of confidence or the deliberate underfunding of military agencies by the political leadership over time?
Okay, you could say in the early days, maybe in the post-Shagari era, there was a conscious, deliberate underfunding of paramilitary forces, which were thought to have grown wings, if you like, under the civilian political administration. The Adewusi era was regarded as one in which the mobile police was built almost as a counterforce to the mainstream military. And when the Buhari and Babangida administration came in, there was that lack of attention to the police and other paramilitary institutions. But over time, that has also then become a culture. If you meet the average Nigerian, he has greater confidence in being protected by the military than by the police.
But the military whips him.
Which is the irony. But if you conduct any survey anywhere in Nigeria about this, you will always find greater confidence amongst ordinary Nigerians in the military, even though the military, what's and all, still has its own challenges, as you've pointed out. This is 2009 to now, almost 20 years of Boko Haram, and we still could not eliminate this ragtag force.
Look at what you said here. I want to read from chapter 5 of Kayode Fayemi's book, If This Giant Must Rise. There's the book. So let's read. He says, what is not in dispute, however, is that what is unanimously seen as the severest test of national security since the Civil War is the product of a complex amalgam of factors built up over the years across different administrations and time horizons. Then you come to page 65, where you mention the Lake Chad Basin. Then you make the point. It is little wonder then that although the Lake Chad Basin became the primary hub of insurgent radical extremism, no part of the country has really been spared the fallout from a diminished national socio-economic context. Diminished national socio-economic context, which has equally stymied the hopes of many for a better life. Diminished national socio-economic context. Break it down.
It doesn't really require any breakdown. I mean, the statistics that we have, the data is clear. 132 million people are considered to be in multidimensional poverty in Nigeria. And these are people who have lost a sense of dignity because they don't even know where the next meal is coming from. When you leave an individual with a situation in which they do not care about what happens, then it's easy or easier to lure such a person with 500 naira or 1,000 naira, and of course with all sorts of harebrained spiritual ideologies about what awaits you if you can carry out the dictates of the jihadis.
Should I blame scholars like you for not passing the message, that knowledge required for the revamping of the minds of the poor through good governance?
Well, there's no question that we bear a certain level of responsibility, because weak governance is responsible for out-of-school children. And if you have, I hate to bandy the millions that people talk about around, but the fact of the matter is that we have so many young people who have no business being on the street out there, and they become fodder for the cannon of the jihadists and the insurgents.
Here we go!
State Affairs with Edmond Obilo is live. Stay tuned.
Kayode Fayemi there. Have you read his books? Kayode Fayemi is the author of the book, If This Giant Must Rise, and we reviewed that book in this interview. Another book by Kayode Fayemi that you should read is this one, Out of the Shadows, Exile, and the Struggle for Freedom and Democracy in Nigeria. It is a good read. Kayode Fayemi writes so well. He's deep intellectually. So don't allow the politician confuse you there. The guy is deep. Brilliant. But I asked him, why is Ekiti not looking like Dubai? But mind you, Kayode Fayemi cannot make Ekiti look like Dubai in 8 years, no doubt. But he speaks for himself. So subscribe to my YouTube channel as Kayode Fayemi answers the questions. Read Kayode Fayemi's books and you will love it. The next program is Gbangba Lashata with Abiodun Adewale. It is Splash 105.5 FM, the Integrity Station. I work with Bosun Alayode to bring you this edition of the program. Thank you for being there. I am Edmond Obilo.